Hello everyone, I am Rishabh Pugalia from Yoda Learning Academy, and in this video I'll be sharing the top 30 data cleaning tricks. I've kept it version neutral, which means you can use these tricks even in the version 2007. I've picked up these tricks over the last 10 plus years, and you're going to get all of this in 1 hour video. I'll be talking about a lot of unusual tricks. For example, there are two wildcard characters, question mark and asterisk sign. How do you use those in find and replace? How do you deal with date cleaning, especially when you get a mixture of differently formatted dates? How do you combine formulas such as search with mid to get a powerful combination? What do functions like value and rept do? So all this and more in this video, so let's start. In this series of short and fast videos, we'll see some of the building blocks of data cleaning tools and which include certain formulas. So once we quickly go over them, we'll see in a challenge exercise how they can be combined and made to yield some very good results, which we'll see soon. Right now, before us lies three formula: proper, upper and lower, which we are going to see what they are going to do. So proper is a formula which ensures that whichever cell you choose, the text inside that cell becomes in this form. The first letter capitalized and the remaining becomes small lowercase. Similarly, if I use upper equal to upper, you notice as the name suggests, all are uppercase. Now if I quickly copy paste the formula, the two of them, you will be able to differentiate between the two. So Gen Financial Services, the J, F and S are in capital, and in the next column, column D, Gen Financial Services and all the other names are in uppercase. Similarly, it goes without saying that lower formula will make sure all the text are saved in lowercase. Quite useful in MIS reporting, especially when you have a data dump which are in different cases, the fonts of which are in different cases. Although, once you have written the formula, it's recommended that you copy that and do a paste special values. Why? Because if you delete this data right now, notice all the other one becomes blank, but the one which we had pasted special, that is still being retained in the column C. So there you go, proper, upper and lower. Now this time we talk about a formula called trim. Very essential if you happen to make a lot of MIS reports, and it's going to help you in data cleaning, and not just for aesthetics appeal but also to ensure that the data is clean enough for you to be able to apply formulas like VLOOKUP, SUMIFs, index, etc. So let's see what trim does. On the left hand side, I have a data which is all inconsistent with the space placement. In fact, the two of them which I'm going to particularly notice right now is the Jain Financial Services and Kali Krishna Investment Private Limited. Now, if I apply trim on one of those cells, trim and choosing the relevant cell which contains the text, notice it removes all the extra spaces and ensures that it is keeping one, especially the one which is lying between the two words. But if I apply the same formula in the last case, notice it eliminates all the space that lies before the start of the text string and also eliminates the text which lies at the end of the text string. So as I copy paste it up and down, you notice the data is clean enough. Although if you want to make it a more appealing, then you can of course use proper to ensure that the first letter is capitalized along with elimination of spaces. And there you go, this becomes our final output. Although I will eventually recommend you that you use the trim and proper one after another. So proper, then trim, choosing the text. Since two parentheses are open, I'll close the two parentheses, and there I go. This is a combined formula which includes both proper and trim. Here comes the len formula, something that I use quite often to check the validity of the data that I've received from my client or from any ERP system. For example, if I have a set of phone numbers, and it could be a very large list though, so how do I ensure that all of them are 10 in digits? So I put a formula called len and I pick up the cell adjoining to the current cell and I press enter. What it gives me is 10 indicating there are 10 characters in this particular column. Now wait, it has a catch. Let me optimize the window before I can begin showing you the catch. In case it's an alphanumeric data or maybe alphabetic data, you notice there could be a lot of spaces towards the end. If it is so, it also captures the space as one character and captures that in length 20. So if you want to find out the perfect length of the characters, eliminating the extra spaces, I would suggest that along with len, you also use trim. How? First, you trim the data, something that we had seen in the last example. Trim eliminates all the excess spaces. So although it looks the same, but when I use trim, notice the length of this trimmed data becomes not 20 but exact 7. So there you go. Len at a very basic form counts the length of characters including the spaces, but if you want to get the perfect result, then perhaps you would want to apply trim too. So len and trim, quite useful. Today I'm going to talk about three formulas which are rarely used, but sometimes when they are used, they are going to be very, very effective in cleaning the data. And before us lies an example whereby what I get to see is a couple of numbers. Now the green tags on top of these cells indicate that there is some difference between the number which I have selected and the one above. And the message says the number in this cell is formatted as text. Now where is the problem? The problem is if you intend to use some formula and try to add these two numbers up, they will show you 0 because they are not even considered as number. And if you have watched our VLOOKUP videos, you'll notice even if the numbers look same, but if one of the formats is saved as number and the other as text, the VLOOKUP will not be able to match the values even if they are equal otherwise. So we want to clean this data. Now first, I'll share with you a formula which helps you detect that which one of these are number, which one of these are text. So I'm writing a formula called isNumber. IsNumber, choosing the cell, closing the brackets, enter. Now as I copy paste it down, notice some are saying true, some are saying false. That means the ones which are saying false are the ones which are stored as text. Now it's more of a detection technique, but correction technique starts with value formula. Value formula has been specifically built only for one aim, that is, any number stored as text. When I say number, I'm not referring to alphanumeric number, so it's just a series of digits, but maybe for some reason it has been stored as text. It converts that into number. And if I copy paste the formula down, let me now use the same formula isNumber to find out how many of these are saved as number. And as expected, all of them are showing true, which means all these numbers are stored as number. And if you want to apply some formula to these two numbers, notice they are yielding the correct results, these two numbers. So value formula converts number stored as text to a proper number. Now there are two formulas which are single digit formulas, rarely used, but once in a year, twice in a year you might want to use this. What is n? If I use n and I choose the value, notice what is going to happen, 5623. But the ones which are shown as text, that converts to 0. It's mostly used for testing purposes, but other than that, not much of application. Now similarly, there's another formula called T for text. So if I use T and choose the cell besides it, the ones which are stored as number, it is completely blank, but the ones which are stored as text, it gets shown as it is. So if you compare the differences, what does value do? It converts the number stored as text to proper number. N stands for number, so if it is number, it is shown as it is, but if it is text, it is shown as 0. Slightly different, the way T works, T will not even show a 0, it will completely leave the cell blank in case the number happens to be stored as number, whereas if it is stored as text, it shows as it is. That's it. So T, N and value. Now let me share with you a fun trick which is going to really amaze you. In fact, if you have a certain set of names and with their scores 1 to 10, notice there are certain pipes which correspond to the strength of their score. So in case I score 9, notice it quickly transforms into a set of 9 pipes. Now how do I build that? Let's see. What I'm going to use is a formula called REPT, as it suggests repetition. So if I press REPT after an equal to, it says which text do you want to repeat. In double quotation, I put the pipe sign which is just immediately above the enter key, straight line, and closing the double quotation, comma. Now it tells me how many number of times you want to repeat. So either I can write by hand 9, or I may select the cell which contains 9. As I close the bracket and press enter, notice 9 pipes, double click, and you get the corresponding number of pipes in the cell based on the scores. So generally it is useful when you have a finite number of scores between 1 and 10, 1 to 20. Why? Because if you had, let's say, 76, the cell is going to look very filled up, extra filled up with the data, with the pipe sign. The cell is going to overflow with these kind of pipe signs. So yeah, as I said, generally use with the data which is spanning one digit numbers, 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. Now, this time we're going to talk about a challenge question which generally people in accounting department faces, and often auditors come across this particular problem too. For example, in column B, I have certain check numbers which has been entered by certain staff members. Now, why do I see numbers of varying lengths? Well, mostly the check number is of 6 digits in length. Now, when they write the zeros which are previous to the numbers, and they press enter in Excel, the zeros go away. Now, if the data has been retained in such a manner and eventually you want to apply VLOOKUP to be able to reconcile the balances using check numbers, you would want to add the zeros such that the length is 6 and eventually the match takes place so that you can pull numbers using VLOOKUP, index, etc. Now, the question is, if you are given the data in column A and you have to convert that in column B, how do you proceed? If you do it manually, single quotation, 0000, and then writing 32. Imagine the kind of effort that will be required to do that task. Well, I'll give you a better technique. If you want physical zeros to be added to the data, first you need to find out how many zero needs to be added in the first place. Do I need to add a 0 in the first check number? No, because it's in total 6 in length. How many zeros in the next cell? Well, you need to add 2 zeros. Now, how do I get that information? I'll be using len formula, length of the total number of characters, and that is going to give me what? 6 in this case, and in few cases 4, 2 and 3 and so on. And from this formula, what I'm going to add is 6 minus length. Why? Because total number of digit is 6 minus the existing length of characters. So on occasions you'll get 0, which means no 0 needs to be added, and on occasions you will get 3, which means there are 3 zeros that needs to be added to this data. Now this is step 1. Step 2. We will use this particular formula as a portion of the repetition formula. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to temporarily cut this portion of the formula so that it gets on the clipboard. As in when I require it, I can bring it back. So now I am proceed with REPT. Okay. What do you want to repeat? I want to repeat 0. I'm putting that in double quotation. Now it asks me how many times do you want to add that zeros. Now this is tricky. I cannot write a manual 5 or manual 1 or manual 0. I'll have to use that formula which is still present on the clipboard, Control V, and I close one more parenthesis, enter. At this moment I'm not getting any value. Why? Because there are no zeros needed. But for the remaining, notice I've been able to repeat the number of zeros that were required in the first place. So the last and final aspect of this trick is, whatever number zeros you were able to populate using REPT, you are going to concatenate using the ampersand sign with the original data. And if I do that, it gets combined. So nothing combined with the number and the 00 combined with the digit. So there you go. This combo formula will help you add those physical zeros, and once having done so, you can very well say copy and then paste special and value. Yeah, there you go. Numbers stored as text along with the physical zeros. Although, let me quickly share one more trick, which although not applicable for formula based exercises, but it's good enough for printing and display values. If I choose the data, right click, and I go to format cells. In the format cells, as it opens up, I go to custom, and in the type I write 000 000 6 times 0. As I press OK, boom, I get the zeros displayed in column B itself. But mind you, this is just a fake 0. As you double click, it still will show you the 4 digits, not the 2 zeros. So if you want to use only for printing purpose and display purpose, use the technique of right click format cells. If not, then please go ahead with the combination of formulas that we had used to populate that 0 as prefix. Now, in this video lesson, we'll see how to combine different cells content together. So lies before me 3 columns A, B and C, and I wish to have the output in the 4th cell which says Rishabh Pugalia joined on 4th of December 2013, right? And the data points you have is the name, first name, last name, and the date of joining, which has been fed in and has been imported by the system. Now, it goes like this. Equal to, I choose the first name, I put an ampersand, and in a hurry, I choose Pugalia as well. When I press enter, what I notice, they do get joined, but there is a space which would have been required in between the first and the last name. So what do? I go back, I delete it and write afresh. Equal to the cell containing the first name, I put an ampersand, I put a double quote. Please note it is not a single quote written twice. No, it is precisely double quote. You put a space, again close the double quote, and then again ampersand. So ampersand acts like a glue. It makes the text stick together. Then I choose Pugalia, okay? And then again I put an ampersand. And why would I do that? Because I wish to add a group of text which says joined on. Okay, joined on. So in double quote, I'm putting a space and writing joined on, putting a space and closing the double quote. Enter. So I've been able to successfully complete the sentence till the point of on. And ampersand being there, acting as a glue, and that glue binds these together. Now when it comes to date, I might choose this and choose the date 4th December 13. Enter. Notice what I get is 41612. Reason why I get so is because internally every valid date is a number. If I use general, I get this number. If you wish to know more about the logic of this number, please refer to one of our videos on why every date is a number from Excel's point of view. Now, in this case, I wish to have the format just like this. Okay. Now in this case, what I'll be using is a magic formula. What is that? I'll be using the formula text. Okay. It asks me the date value, which I gladly choose, comma, what is the format you are looking for? So the format must be given in a pair of double quotes. I understand the formula is not complete and I want to finish it off now. So then I write TD, putting a space, M, putting a space, and Y. Enter. Super. So you can put hyphen, you can put slash in between those D's and the M's and the Y's, and you can also reduce one M so that this becomes a shorter version of the initial sentence. So my intention was to show you how the ampersand works to help you get the concatenated data, the joined string. In fact, a quick clone of this formula is called concatenate. Let me show you how this works. Concatenate. Of course, there is no difference between them in terms of output. I choose this. I put an ampersand, double quote with space, again an ampersand, choosing the last name, again an ampersand. Now I am going to initiate that sentence which says joined on, space, double quotation closed, again an ampersand, and I'll reserve the seat for the text formula. Within text, I am going to choose the date and comma in double quotes. I am going to put the same combination DD space MM space YY. So notice the formula. Now what if I say that the formula is asking me to put a comma? Will it work? Well, it does. So either you put an ampersand inside or you put a comma, it will still work. You may check it out. Enter. Aha. So both the combinations work actually, but I prefer to use the first instance where it just uses the ampersand. Simple and straight. I hope you're enjoying the video session so far. In this video session, we'll talk about find and replace, and we'll see its importance in the context of data cleaning. In fact, I have to start with the data which is going to illustrate how is this going to be used. For example, if I have a set of names with certain extra data with respect to their domains, their location in which they are working. For example, the first guy Ismail Abdul Salam, he is allocated to the Asia Pac team, and the second one belongs to Latin America team. Now, if you just want to delete the slash in part, I don't want this part. How do I do that quickly with the help of find and replace? I'll choose the sample data. I'll press Ctrl H, H for horse. Once I do that, it says find what? I will say slash, I will say in, and then I will say slash closed. That means the same backstroke. Now replace with what? Nothing. When I do that, replace all, notice amongst the chosen data, all the three instances of slash in slash goes away. It says we have made 3 replacements. Now this was basic find and replace, which you may have used in the Word document also. What I want us to discuss is the use of wildcard character, and we'll see how much this particular wildcard character amplifies the power of find and replace. Let's find out. Assume that you want to eliminate everything after the first slash, including the first slash or backstroke as some people call it. Now, I notice the common characters aren't present. For example, the first one differs from the second one in terms of suffix. So I want to choose the data, let's say halfway through, press Ctrl H. Now in the find what section, let me put forward slash, put a star mark or asterisk as it is called sometimes. Now once I do that and I say replace with nothing, as I click on replace all, notice what is going to happen. Whoop, it says all done. We made 5 replacements, and you notice slash onwards everything gone. So star or asterisk means it can pick up any number of character. The reason why we gave a slash before star is we did not want to eliminate the full set of characters, because if I say Ctrl H and if I simply say star, it will replace all the data with nothing, which is what I did not want. So I need to give an identifier through which Excel can identify from which character the data must be eliminated. In fact, if I give one more example, let's say Ctrl H and I say @star. Can you guess what is going to happen if I press the replace all button? @ onwards everything will be going away. So replace all. There you go. This is wildcard character usage in find and replace. Today we'll talk about the second of the 2 wildcard character usage in find and replace. The previous one, as we had discussed, was the asterisk sign. I'll be taking you through the applications of the wildcard character question mark, and we'll see how a question mark can be really useful at times when you have to take away specific pieces of text which has a common pattern in terms of length. For example, star means any number of characters and question means one number of character at a time. So if you say question mark, what is going to happen? Let's find out. Ctrl H, I say and then followed by question mark, which means it first finds the instance of sign, and question mark relates to one character. It could be A of Americas, E of EMEA, and L of LATAM. So if I say replace all, let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, there you go. It has replaced the sign and one character after that. So that is the primary difference between and the question mark, those two being the wildcard characters which can effectively be used in find and replace. So in this case, if I had given something like this, Ctrl H slash 2 question mark slash. Now assume I had data which said in some of the cases it would have said AM. In some of the cases, it would have given me the letter, let's say, JJ. Now, what I notice is a common pattern that there are 2 characters between the pair of slashes, which I want to eliminate and keep a hyphen in between. So, I choose the data, Ctrl H, as I had already posted slash double question mark slash. I will now apply a hyphen in the replace with. Now, when I do that, let's see what's going to happen. Replace all. Whoop. As you can compare from the data which has been converted with the data which has not been changed, notice the slash in slash am and slash jj has been replaced with one hyphen. So you must be aware of both the wildcard characters, one being the star, the second one being the question mark. We'll see more variations as we take on challenges ahead. Let me warn you, this is going to be a challenge question with respect to find and replace. In case 2, the one that you're going to open up through this button of grouping, you'll find some names which may have asterisk signs inside them. Now, quite often it happens that when you get the download from a certain ERP system, you get some names or maybe information or remarks which may contain this asterisk sign. Now, if you want to apply a VLOOKUP and try to match up with Jeff Abney from another data, you got to eliminate the star marks. Now, the challenge is, how using find and replace are you going to eliminate this? I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking of a scenario where you simply select the data, press Ctrl H, and you say find what star and say replace with nothing. Wait, let me show you what's going to happen if I proceed with this technique. Boom. I get all data eliminated. Why? Because wildcard character has that power to include all characters, including itself. So somehow we got to neutralize the power of this asterisk before we can specifically eliminate these stars. So if you want to pause the video and try a few techniques, please go ahead. If not, then let me share the solution. I know you cannot hold on to that curiosity. Wait, let me show you the trick. You choose the data, you press Ctrl H as usual. Now, quite often people do ask me where is find and replace from the point of view of button on Microsoft Excel 2007 or 10 or 13. Well, if you can go to Home tab, you'll notice binocular like sign under find and select, and that's where you find the replace button. So either use Ctrl H or you take the help of this button. Anyways, in the find what section, must ensure that you enter a tilde sign. TILDE, that's what it's called, and generally you find this above the tab key on top of your keyboard. So first is caps lock, as I can see from my keyboard left hand side, then the tab key, on top of that there's a tilde sign. So you will have to press shift and activate that key, and it looks like a curly sign, and then you put the asterisk sign. This has the power to eliminate the wildcard character, wildcard power of the star. And once you do that, and if I say replace all, whoop, I got exactly what I wanted. So if ever somebody challenges you on Excel tricks, please ask this question and see yourself win that particular bet. I love to give you challenge question, and this is one of those from the series. And let me give you the context. This is with respect to data cleaning. In case 3, I have a data which consists of some names with different allocation of spaces. And notice they end with a certain roll number. It could be membership number. And the point is the membership numbers are of different varying lengths. So I want a trick which gets me this data in this form. I'm going to cut that data, paste it in the adjoining cell, and that is how I want the data to be presented in the final form. Now I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking of a trick called text to column, isn't it? Well, let me tell you that text to column isn't going to help you. Why? If you go to text to column, data text to column, you notice there are 2 options in case you have used this before. If not, please refer to my videos on text to columns. Delimited, it asks you what is the common delimiter. Is it space? Is it hyphen? Is it dot? What is it? If I say space, it cuts the data in different columns, and it's very inconsistent. This is not what I was looking forward to. So you might tell me why not we use fixed width? Well, fixed width, as the name suggests, it is actually fixed columnar widths. So since the data is not of consistent length, I cannot use that technique. Why? Because as you can see from the preview window, it gets me the data in different columns. So both these techniques of text to column isn't going to help me. Now what is going to help me? You probably might be thinking find and replace. Okay, Control H. What do you do next? What is the character you're going to write to help you get rid of the numbers and get it pasted outside? Now some of you might also be thinking parallelly, why not you use a formula write? This is something that we'll be discussing, or you may have watched the video on write formula. But write formula extracts the data only if you know the specific number of characters that needs to be extracted. This works fine because it has 4 characters, but the same technique may not work for the 3rd line item. Now, of course, there are ways in Excel by which you can cut the data into 2 different columns the way we wanted, but that's going to be a little tedious. For a normal user, I want a trick which you don't need to remember, which is not tedious and which is very easy to use, so easy that you can also teach your junior right away, right now. Let me show you that. I copy the data. You also copy the data at the same time. And let me actually take the help of Word document. Yeah, Word document. I know what you're thinking. Excel and how come Word? Well, I'm going to ask you to paste it some rows and paste it again. And few moments you'll realize why I asked you to open the Word document, a blank Word document, and paste the data. Once you did so, you choose the first set of data. Press Ctrl H. Yes, Ctrl H in Word document. Now, most of you would have used this while drafting legal documents or maybe agreements, but notice there's a button called More. And within More, there is something called Special. It says so many options within them, and one of which attracts my attention is any digits. So it gives you a code which is not usable in Excel. This code represents all digits. So when I say find what, all digit, replace with nothing, within this data only, I will say replace all. It says we made 18 replacements in your selection. Okay, good. Do you want to search the rest of the document? Nope. I just want to apply this technique on the first box. Now, if that is a technique, what technique would you apply in the second box? Control H, of course. Under the tab More, we go to Special. This time I'm going to pick any letter, not any character. Any character means everything, including the space and the hyphens and the dots. So any letter is what I'm picking up. It gives me a different code, to the power sign and dollar, and I say replace all. Whoop. I got all the letters eliminated. Do you want to search the rest of the document as it asks? Nope. And what I can see is there are dots and the spaces. So I put a plain and simple dot in the find what box and I say replace all. Again, no. And finally, I put a space, a blank space, and I say replace all. So now the data is in the form as it should look. So what I can do is simply copy this data and go back to Excel, paste it, do with a normal paste. But with respect to number, especially the one which starts with 0, if I simply copy and paste it, the zeros might get eliminated. So what I need to do is, before you paste, especially for numbers starting with 0, you must choose the area where you're supposed to paste it, go to Format Cells, and make sure it is stored as text. Yes, text. Once you have done so, then yes, you are free to copy the data, correct, and do a paste special. And it says paste special as in text. Often it is also called in the older version of Word unformatted text. If I do that, notice the 0 gets retained. So this is especially for data with numbers starting with 0. So this trick has been very useful to me because it doesn't require any formula. It simply requires that you copy the data from Excel to Word, eliminate the numbers or the digit, and come back and paste it in Excel, and there you go. Less than a minute, you get all the data sorted in the way that you had wanted. In this particular video session, we'll talk about one of the challenge questions from the view of find and replace. And let me make sure that this is very much clear, the question is very much clear before I proceed with the solution. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to randomly select certain cells and make them yellow. Okay? Yeah, even this one. Now, if somebody asks you that all these cells which have been colored yellow, you want to replace the color with green. Now, how do you do that? How do you replace the color, not the data, just the color from yellow to green? Let's find out. If I choose the data, Control H, I go to the Options tab. Why? Because I'm not concerned with the data contents, the cell contents. I'm concerned with the color. So I go to Option. You notice on the right hand side there's a drop down under Format. Well, it says Format. Either you choose from Format of this current cell, which I try to avoid because there are minor differences. Let's say the border on the right or maybe bold, that can get into the format of the sample format. So I go to the Format, okay, I go to Fill and I pick up the same yellow color and I press OK. Notice there is nothing written in this particular box. It's just the preview color that you're able to see right now. Now you say find what? Any cell, any data with the cell color yellow and replace with what? With a certain color green. Okay. Once I do that, I say replace all. Notice what is going to happen. as I had required. Now it happens sometimes your staff or your colleague may have colored certain cells red or green depending on certain logic, and you want to replace that color with some other color. So there is no other technique other than macros which helps you do that. So there's a very fascinating technique. You can find a certain format which you want to change to a certain other format. And I can take a similar example. For example, I want that whichever data are in Times New Roman, let's say Times New Roman, one of the fonts that I've used, and that should get converted into Arial font. Okay, if that is so, I go ahead, choose the data, Control H. I'm going to clear the find format and I'm going to clear the replace format. Now I go ahead and I say format, font should be Times New Roman. Now I'll have to click on this box and find Times New Roman. It doesn't take me there. Let me just quickly find out. LMNMPQRST. Yeah, should be there down. Okay, Times New Roman. Okay, once I have done so, and this is the preview. What I want to change this with is a different font, let's say Arial. And just to see the difference, what I'm going to do is make the font color a little bigger than usual as I press OK. So this is the sample which you want to find, and this is what you want to replace with. So I say replace all. Yep. It not only replaces the data as we had seen in the previous video, it also works with format of the data. How fascinating. Try different techniques, but make sure after you have completed the exercise, please clear the find and the clear replace format. If you don't do so, the next time you want to apply a certain technique, although when you press Ctrl H, it doesn't show you the format, so it doesn't get applied the correct way. And I'll just take few seconds to illustrate that. For example, if I press Ctrl H, I go to option, I go to format, I choose a format, let's say fill color yellow, and replace with a fill color green. You apply this, well and good. Oh, there is no yellow, hence it's not being able to show me. Let me say format, go to green, replace that with some other color, in this case blue. Okay, and I say replace all. Once done, let's say you did the exercise, then you went to the second tab and then you press Ctrl H. Under option, if I click away this options, you will not get to see this format option. And if you say, let's say find what M, replace with R, it says no such data has been found. Why? Because it is still looking for the letter M, which is in the cell green. So make sure you first clear find and clear replace format after you have performed this color replacing exercise. And that's all about the find and replace, the options within. If you ever get into data cleaning exercise in Excel, text to column is one function, one technique which you must be aware of. And I'm not only going to talk about basics, but even the advanced ones. So as we proceed, you'll notice we gradually move from the basic to advanced. Starting from the basic right now, especially for people who want to brush up the skills on text to columns. So before us lies the data which has surname followed by name. And one thing that differentiates the name and the surname is the comma in between. Now, what text to column does is it helps you cut the data into different columns. And one of the strategy that it uses is that you need to tell that common delimiter at which point the data must be cut. In this case, the comma. So how do I execute that technique? Let's find out. I choose a sample data set. I go to data. You will find text to column neatly placed in the middle of this ribbon, text to columns. And the icon also suggests the same thing, that one single column gets bifurcated into multiple ones. So once I click on it, it gives me a dialog box prompt which says convert text to column wizard step 1 of 3. There's a lot of gyan here, a lot of funda here, which you would want to read it if you're using for the first time. But let me illustrate the practical aspect. There are two options. In this video, we're going to talk about the first option. It says delimited characters such as commas or tabs separate each field, which means any common delimiter which you need to identify at which point Excel is going to cut the data. So I'm going to next. I'm going to take the tab thing off and I'm going to put the comma checkbox on. As soon as I do that, you notice there are two columns in which the data has been bifurcated. So I go to next. Now, there are a couple of more options which I'm going to discuss in the next upcoming videos, but at this moment, the one final thing that I need to change is the destination. As I choose this particular selected cell, you notice the cell A4 starts blinking, which means if I just press finish at this point, it supersedes the existing data. Of course, I don't want that at this moment. So I go back to data, text to column, I go to the step 2, and after having chosen comma, I go to next, and in the destination, I backspace that, and I'm going to choose the associated blank cell from where the output should begin. Once I press finish, there you go. Abdul Salam, Abni, Adams, all the surname in one column and name in the second column. So delimiter in text to column helps you find the common character at which point the data can be cut into various columns. As a part of data cleaning strategies, what we are learning is text to column. And if you've watched our previous video, this is just a continuation on the various other aspects, other options of text to columns. Now here lies the data in column A, which is an extract from fixed asset register, hypothetical data. Now it seems there are 4 pieces of information embedded in the one single cell, that is account number 5-digit code followed by item number 6-digit code. The item numbers are unique, and there's some kind of a system check number. It seems that there are a couple of zeros added to the same item number, and that ends with one asset description. Now to be able to apply pivot table or sort or filter, I need to get them extracted into 4 different columns. So how do I do so? I choose a sample data, I go to data, I go to text to columns. Now wait, if you have been through our previous video, you might be attracted to this option saying delimited. Why? Because I see a couple of spaces which are bifurcating the data. Let's see what happens if I choose delimited, and in the next step 2, I choose space. Oh, I see in the data preview window that apart from the top 3 columns, the first 3 columns, the last column has been brutally bifurcated into multiple columns. Not required, definitely. So I go back, I choose fixed width. Now what is fixed width? We'll find out in the next few moments. In the next button, when I click upon, it shows me that there are automatic line items which is supposedly cutting the data into various columns. Now when I double click on a certain line item, it vanishes, which means now it's going to be one single column of data output. If I single click on one location of the preview window, it brings back those lines. So you can also change the placement of the line by simply dragging and moving it away. Also you can double click to get it removed completely, or single click to bring it back. At this moment what it shows me is column 1, column 2, column 3 and column 4. I go to next, and in the destination I change to the adjoining blank cell. In the next few other videos we will see the different settings in step 3 of 3. At this moment I am just content with changing the destination. Let me press finish. It seems that my answer has been correctly extracted into 4 columns, but wait, notice column D. If you compare with the original data, the zeros have vanished. So how do you ensure that the zeros are retained? Well, let me go back one step. I choose the data again, this time from start till the end. Shift control down, remember, and control backspace to be able to go to the header. Now I go to data, text to columns. If you want to use a shortcut key to apply data text to columns, Alt. Notice the data, it has been indicated by the letter A, so A, and then text to column, it's saying E, so E. Once it arrives, the dialog box, I choose fixed width. By default, Excel has already recommended the same to me. I go to next. I see 4 columns bifurcated. Next. In the destination, as usual, I choose the next adjoining blank cell, but wait, there's one setting which you must be aware of. Notice all the headings are currently pointing to general, and we had a problem in that in the 3rd column. If I choose the 3rd column in step 3 of 3, it blackens out. It seems it has been selected, and now I have the power to make it in text format. If I do so, quickly the text heading appears, and if I press finish, notice the zeros have now been retained. So this was a quick trick inside text to columns under fixed width category. I'm never satisfied unless I show you all the tips and tricks of text to columns, and that is the reason here comes another video before you. I have a data set where the numbers are ending with a minus sign. Now, although it is very rare to see these days, but in the old era, in the old ERP legacy systems, when the data got transported to Excel, the credit numbers, the ones which are in negative, this is how it appeared. And you would also notice in some of the credit card statements, the number might end with CRs and the DRs. So we want to see how to quickly convert this unclean data into a clean format through which you can apply sum formula, average formula, etc. At this moment, if you intend to apply a sum formula on these couple of numbers, you will not get the correct result. Why? Because Excel is not able to identify the three numbers where the minus is at the end as proper number. So what do? I'm not going to ask you to write a very elaborate formula which extracts the minus sign and put it at the prefix. No. What I'm going to do is ask you to choose this data as it is, one column, go to data tab, go to text to column. Once I do that, I will keep the option as delimited, step 1 of 3. I'm not even changing that. I go to next. I will ensure that all the check boxes are turned off just for safety. And in the next, I'm not even doing anything. I just need to press finish. In less than a second, what I see is the minus has appeared before the number. Now you must be wondering, what did we do which made this happen? I'm going to share that trick with you. I showed you the strategy, but I did not tell you the logic behind it. What happens if you choose the data, if you go to data, and when you go to text to column, in step 3 of 3, there's a button called advanced. Although nobody has explored that so frequently, but if you click on advanced, notice there's one line item which says trailing minus for negative numbers. And since it is turned on by default, that is the reason when you pressed finish, the minus becomes first in the prefix. So that was one strategy, how to convert the unclean numbers, mix of positive and negative numbers, into correct positive and negative numbers. Here comes another challenge, and this is in line with the data cleaning strategies that we are trying to pick up using different formulas and techniques. Now, in case you would have noticed, some of you may get credit card statements which has CR mentioned against the deposits that you have made into your credit card account. Now, if you want to analyze that, you would have to convert into a form which Excel understands. So how do you convert the data given on the left column to the column on right? Now, we will use two techniques. The first technique is getting rid of the extra suffix. I'm choosing the data, pressing Ctrl H, which is used for find and replace. Find what? I'll say dr, replace with what? Nothing. And eventually what you get is certain numbers which were supposed to be positive, it shows without the dr. But wait, when I adopt a similar strategy for CR, find what CR, what do I want to replace with? I want to replace with minus sign. I do that. But imagine if I press replace all, where is the minus sign going to appear? Yes, it is going to appear towards the end. So if this is how in few seconds you have been able to convert the raw data into, the next and the final step is you go to data, text to columns. Once you reach till that point, go to step 2, ensuring there is nothing which has been chosen. Although comma space will not create much of a difference, but better to be safe. I go to next, and as usual I'm not clicking on any one of the buttons. Why? Because in the advanced button the option of trailing minus for negative number is already selected. So I just have to press finish. So essentially, even if you had to do data text to column and assuming there's nothing chosen in step 2 and 3, I can simply press finish. So notice DRCRs get converted into proper number which Excel can relate with and calculate upon. In this video, we'll connect text to columns with certain unclean dates. Dates which Excel cannot understand and which is very much essential for us to proceed with after, of course, correcting the dates. So I go to case 1, opening up this grouped button. On the left hand side, column A, the fonts which are in red are our dates as per our standard, but Excel may not be able to understand that. In case you have gone through our videos on date, you would remember that is number is one formula which helps us detect whether it's a date, because technically speaking, every valid date is a number. So it's false. Now what is the difference? If you have not changed the control panel settings of your PC, the default settings, all dates essentially in Excel's mind are read in the MDY format. As I double click, I find that. I double click on the next cell, I get the same view, 4/8, which indicates 4th of August. So how do I ensure that the date and the month flip their position and automatically the slash or the backstroke or the front stroke takes the position of dot? Let's find out. I choose the data, I press Ctrl H. Yes, you may have thought about it. You would say find what dot, replace with what forward stroke, and you will say replace all. Whoa, it seems that it has changed something, but wait, has it corrected all the date? I'm using the same as number formula to find, so nope. In fact, it has got a double whammy to it. Why? Because it has converted the date from 4th of August to 8th of April and from 9th of May to 5th of September. So this is not what I want. What I want can be achieved through text to columns. Let's find out. After having chosen the data, we go to data, text to columns. Now in step 1 of 3, I'm keeping it as delimited. In step 2, I just need to ensure that none of the other check boxes are turned on, although tab is harmless at this point in time. Let me go to next. I'm in step 3 of text to column wizard. Here lies the solution. Since the sequence of mistake of dates is in the DMY format, I'm going to confess that mistake in a similar manner. So I choose this option. Why? Because it says this screen, that means step 3 of 3, lets you select each column. I've already chosen that column and set the data format, which I'm going to set it as a date format. But now I need to choose from the drop down which format is it currently in. It's currently in the sequence of DMY. Once I do that, all I need to do is press finish. Notice all of them flip their position, the date and the month. Now if I apply a certain format by saying right click format cells and I choose the option which displays the month in 3 letters, as soon as I do so, I get full proper dates which I can easily read and differentiate between the correct and incorrect date. So this was a quick trick using text to column, and I will be referring this as my confession box approach. Confess the mistake, confess the sequence of mistakes, DMY or YMD. As promised previously, this is an ongoing series of data cleaning exercise using text to column and particularly in the area of dates. Let me take case 2 this time. Case 2 has certain dates which has been posted by the ERP system that the company is using. The point is they provide the date in this format where the year is mentioned, the 4 characters, then the month, 01 indicates January and 09 indicates 9th of which month? January. Now unless it is provided in a certain format which Excel understands, you will not be able to analyze the data. This is just a small sample. But my question is, if this were the actual data spanning thousands of rows, how do you convert into the column B output? At this moment, I need to ensure a couple of things. One, it is in the correct format, MDY. There are proper slashes in between them so as to differentiate between month and date. To do that, I choose the data, I go to data tab, I go to text to columns. Yes, text to columns. If you recollect our steps from the previous video, I need to go to step 2, ensure that none of these checkboxes are on, then to step 3, in which I need to check this radio button on which says date. I want to set the data format to date and I need to confess the mistake, meaning my sequence of mistake is year first, then month, then date. So here I go, YMD. As soon as I say finish, there it appears in the correct form. Although you now have the power to change the appearance by right clicking on it, going to format cells and then choosing the desired display value. As I do so and press OK, this is what I get as similar as in column B. Case 3 something similar. As I open case 3, now what kind of mistake has been committed here? It's DMY, perfect. I choose just 2 sample cells, the one which I have underlined. I go to data, text to column. As usual, I'm going to step inside step 3 of 3 and this is where I confess the mistake. The mistake being DMY and finish. Yeah, now those are correct dates. As you double click, you'll find the MDY format in which the Excel is storing it. And in fact, especially for this case where the date is mentioned with no space in between, then the exact month in letters, in 3 letters has been mentioned, and then the year. There's one more strategy that can be applied. It is very peculiar strategy, very typical to such data, and that strategy is a formula called date value. As I write the formula date value, I simply need to choose the cell, close the bracket and then press enter. Although it may look like a number, something like 40,000, 50,000, you may just change the format of the cells, change it to a date form, any form, and press OK. So you have two strategies. One is a formula based strategy, especially for this kind of a data set, and one is text to column strategy. If you want more clarity on these concepts, please refer to our videos on dates. This video we talk about the formula right, left and mid, and to make it more interesting, I will attempt to use multiple other formulas and combine with the left, right, mid formula to give you a very fascinating combination to be able to apply that in practical life. Now on column A, I have a couple of names which are ending with a 4-digit ID code. Now what does right formula do? In its pure basic form, right formula, as I begin writing the formula, it tells you from which text, from which cell do you want to extract the characters from the right direction. So I put a comma because the next parameter says how many number of characters. Now I've been lucky so far in this data because there are 4 characters so far. I'm going to put 4 and I'm going to close the parenthesis. Enter. I close the bracket. There you go. If you are given certain consistent number of digits or characters towards the end on the right hand side, you can use the right formula effectively to extract and pull the information. Now eventually, as we see the building blocks, how they work, we'll also get to scenarios and challenges where the data is all mixed up. At this moment, I'll have another succeeding challenge, which is, apart from the characters, I also want to extract the names. The names Ronnie, Sunny, Tony, Jane, Jackson, Harry and Kane using the formula left. Now I could have done so using text to column, but this session I'm purely dedicating myself to left formula, right formula and so on. So let's see how left will help me and what obstacle do I face. If I start writing equal to left, I choose the cell and then I am told that how many number of characters do I need to extract. I put 5, I close the bracket, I'm happy, I'm getting Ronnie, I'm getting Sunny. But when I go to the next couple of cells, notice the names, for example, Jackson, it's not complete yet. Why? Because you had told the formula 5 characters only. So we need a mechanism which tells me exactly how many number of characters needs to be extracted, and that cannot be a hard-coded number. So I need to find out how many characters from the left. To do that, let me start with a formula called len. Len, closing the bracket, enter. Now notice this is the total length of the entire series of character, including the digits and the spaces. Now fortunately for me, the number of digits are only 4 in number. So if I reduce the entire len formula with minus 4 and -1, although I could have done -5, but this is just for our academic purpose. -4 is to ensure the 4 digits are taken away from the length and 1 for the space. So what I'm getting is 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 7, 5, 4, and so on, which means Jackson is 7 in character. Now if you notice closely, how has this been calculated? In total, Jackson 7 characters plus 1 space 8, 8 plus 4, 12. So from 12, you have taken away 4 and 1, which leaves you with how much? 7. So now in our formula of left, what are we going to do? We are going to look for left, choose the data, comma, and then choose the number 5. So this way, as I copy paste it, I get the full series of answers correctly. In fact, if I had a word, let's say my name, Rishabh, automatically picks it up. Maybe even I give longer name. Think of a longer name, Swami Narayan. It still works. So combination of left and len does the trick. In this video session, we'll talk about search formula and how it helps extract the data. So search formula, what does it do? Let me give you a brief example. First, by writing the search formula, it says which kind of text, what kind of text do you want to find? I say I want to find the placement of the space, and hence in a pair of double quotation I have put in a space. Now it tells me within what text. In this text, what it gives me is this positioning. That means Ronnie is 5 character name, and followed by there's a space which is on 6th position. Now where is it used? Quite often you would want to use this in combination of formulas like left or right or mid, depending on what kind of character you are looking at. So for example, if I want to extract the data of all the names using left formula, in the left formula I must know that how many characters do I need to extract, in this case 5. But of course, that is not going to hold true had the name been a very simple one like sun, because if I do that, it not only extract the sun but also the space and the 4 thereafter. So what I need to do is, in place of that hard-coded 5, I am going to insert a search formula. Notice I have closed another parenthesis to ensure search formula is complete from the point of your parenthesis. Now within search, I say look for, find what? Find that one space, comma, then I choose the cell. But when I press enter, you notice as I copy paste down, it might take all the names, but the length of the data is not going to be what it looks like, 6. Why? Because it has taken not only the names but also one space. Why? Because search was looking for the placement of space. So eventually what you might want to do is, towards the end of search formula, notice where have I put my cursor. So towards the end of search formula and within the left formula, I'm putting a -1. So now it's a perfect raw name without the space. That's where you see the Linus 5. So this was an example of how search can be used in combination of left formula. Assuming that you have gone through our videos, our sessions on left and right formula, we now proceed towards mid formula. Mid formula, very powerful if you intend to extract data based on certain preconditions which you want to configure. First, let's take a help of an example. I have a couple of PAN. In India, every individual assessee, probably a taxpayer who needs to get a PAN registered permanent account number. So it's typically in a form where there are 5 characters in text, followed by 4 in numeric form, and the last one being a single character, alphabetical character. But the unique part about this is the 4th character signifies the assessee status, and that I have given in the next sheet. So there's a table which says if the 4th character of the PAN number is C, it means it's been registered under company. If it's a 4th character saying P, it means a person, and so on and so forth. So if 4th character is, let's say, T, it says association of person, typically a trust. So now, how do I know that to these PAN number, what assessee status may I associate with? First, I need to extract the 4th character. So I say equal to left, I choose the PAN number, comma, and I say 4. If I do that, notice it takes all 4 characters and extract them in the cell. I don't want that. I want only one letter, and that too from the 4th position. So here I'll be using the mid formula. Mid chooses the cell. After having done so, it then tells me from which position do you want to start. I want to start from the 4th position. And from the 4th position, how many number of characters do you want to take out? I want to take out 1 number of characters. Enter. There you go. 1 character. As I copy paste it down, I get the full set of results. And not only that, just for a little bit of experimentation, had I written 2, can you guess what is that I'm going to get in the answer? From the 4th position, you're going to extract 2 characters, which means double P. And that's exactly what I'm going to get. So my initial requirement was just 1 character, and I'll stick to it. And that's what I get. Now, if you apply a very quick VLOOKUP, you'll be able to find out what is the assessee status. So VLOOKUP, look for letter P, comma, table array, which means I need to go to the other sheet where the table has already been prepared. I ensure that the range is fixed by pressing F4 function key. Oops, I pressed F5 by mistake. So I choose the entire block and I press F4. Once it has been fixed, I put a comma and then column index number 2 because the answers were in the 2nd column of the table, and finally false or 0. I close the bracket. So it looks for the letter P and finds out it's a person. Body of individuals, company, person, and firms. So there you go. This was a quick tutorial on mid formula, and in Indian context, how do you extract the assessee status based on the PAN number. In fact, generally I also apply another test logic which ensures that the length of characters are correct as it's supposed to be. So as I copy paste it down, notice one of the PAN number has been misspelled because there are 11 characters, which is not correct. This was just an add-on. The main point is with respect to mid formula in context of left and right too.
So did you like the video? Well, if you liked some of these tricks, why don't you mention your top 3 favorite tricks from this video in the comment section below, and do not forget to share with somebody in your group who you think can benefit from these tricks.